What's up, everybody? Dusty Blazing High Performance. We're finishing up a LSA swap on this 2009 G8, and it also has a Forced Induction's Interchiller, which we want to talk a little bit about today, how it works, how it's installed, and what the benefits are. So
Yep.
the Interchiller taps into the vehicle's air conditioning system. It taps into the low side with a billet block that they provide here. It's a little greasy in here because he had a power steering leak in the cooler section, which we replaced. But low side comes here, and it feeds into the interchiller itself. And then the high side taps off of the condenser, actually the factory condenser exit that you can't see. It tees off and goes to here. So one of the features about it is at this T, it goes through this solenoid. So you can hit a switch in the cabin and it will close that solenoid and restrict or completely eliminate refrigerant from going to the evaporator in the car. So you won't have any condensation dripping on the track or whatever, and it directs all your cooling energy to your interchiller. So also in the tune, you have to turn the fans on high when the AC is on all the time to help it out, because obviously we're increasing the capacity of the HVAC system. But so this is just basically a enclosed closed loop heat exchanger that uses the air condition that runs water in and out and cools the water. So it's kind of like an active ice tank. It's like an ice tank you don't have to add ice to. It's kind of nice. And what we've done, we've put a reservoir in here, 1.7 gallons from Forced Inductions. Also, it fits in the cabin air filter area. You have to do a little trimming to some plastic in there, but this will be covered up. It won't be something you need to service. It's not an ice tank per se, because once again, you really don't need ice when you have something that's making cold water.
They advertise what 20 and 30 degree intake temperatures.
There's some they can be frost on the fittings,
right
which we
about
don't
that.
have the fittings in yet. Obviously, we just mocked up here. But one thing we did do to this tank is move the 3/4 return over and block, patch this hole and move it over here, so it gives you a direct route. Like if it's over here, you have to put some elbows, or it's coming right into the back of the ABS block. So we did that. We also modified it by putting a 1-inch outlet on the bottom. You'll see why in a second, but again, this is for the aux pump. But we got the 1-inch outlet, and it's feeding this Stewart Components modified heat exchanger pump. So this thing's modified for 20 amps. It moves a ton of water, and it has to have 1-inch inlet or it'll cavitate. It actually pumps so hard that it, if you have a restricted inlet, it'll cavitate inside, and don't want that. So provide it with a 1-inch inlet.
That's what when we were talking to Forced Inductions, they said we're talking about different pumps and things, and they said put as much pump as you can with a system like this. You can't sort of, this. A lot of people used to think that if you pump it too fast, you were losing the it wasn't actually pulling the heat out.
Thought on that, and I'm of the belief that the more water you can move through a system, whether it's this system or whether it's your engine, they say, well, the water doesn't have time to sit in the engine and take the heat out. Or they'll say, well, you're moving it too fast through the radiator, it can't remove the heat. But the thing is, volume is everything. So anyway, they are a little difficult to mount. We had to make some custom brackets, which we welded a plate on the chassis and
then
made
very
two
sturdy.
brackets here. It's not going anywhere. So they're not bolt on per se. I think there are some brackets. Some people make some brackets for the CTSVs, but if you look on Lingenfelter's site, they have a lot of good tests on the different heat exchanger pumps and flow with real data, and this one's kind of the top of the list. So it should keep everything nice and cool. We have
this
a tech upper on
and
it.
this is the first one we're doing
Yeah, I haven't done an interchiller.
of this one, so we're kind of interested. We've done a lot of LSA stuff, especially recently. This one has a 245 upper and stock lower.
Yep.
It has a small boost cam and a Z01 converter, so it should make around 12, 13 PSI.
Yeah, it should make good power. It should be pretty reliable, hopefully. We're going to keep it as cool as possible. And the good thing about it, when you get into the really low intake air temps, you can actually go into the table, and typically on an IAT table, you're taking time it out when it's hot.
Yep.
Whether it's NA or boost, as the intake air temp increases, you're pulling timing to stay away from detonation. But so on this one, what did you do?
Well, what I have is I have the normal, if it's pulling, if it gets hot, if let's say the system fails and, normal pull timing up top. But if it stays or goes below 30 degrees, I add a degree and I sort of got it up to about, I think 3.5 degrees if it's down to 10 Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's ever going to get
Probably
that
won't
low.
be there, but I mean,
But it will add a few.
You can add timing in the IAT table with something like this because it's going to be cooler than ambient.
Correct. And that way, if he's at the track and he's really icing it down, or I'm sorry, got the AC on and it's really cooling it down and it's in the 20, 30 range, he's going to get an extra couple degrees of timing, which, on a boosted application, a couple degrees of timing can be worth a lot of power.
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
A few more things on this to knock out. I got to put the power steering relocation reservoir relocator on, get that out of the way, and get the airbox hooked up. But it's pretty close. Relocate the catch can bracket. I'm going to put a bracket on here and move it out of the way. It wasn't in a car. A lot of stuff was done before here, so we just kind of
it should be
blower deal. And
we just put a bass tune in it and it should be able to crank it up in the next day or two. So I'll make sure that we follow up with a driving video and a first impressions video of the Forced Induction Interchiller, because it's one that we've been wanting to do and we just haven't gotten the opportunity to do one yet. So with all the different setups, we haven't done one that uses the air conditioner. It is you could definitely do it at your, in your backyard, so to speak, but it is got some fittings and some things you don't see on the normal heat exchanger ice tank type deals,
You have to have a decent knowledge of air conditioning systems.
Oh, for sure.
It's a little complex. I mean, the instructions, it's kind of a universal fit kit. So we cut out the bumper support, the crash bar, I guess, and inset it here, which is something that they suggest on the G8s. We're going to make sure that I'm going to get the plastic piece back on there so that it holds the bumper up and won't sag. But it's kind of a universal heat exchanger, and but it does come with about everything. You do have to have a special tool in order to make these lines to crimp these clamps. You got to have a tool for that, and it comes with a spacer to precisely space those clamps exactly where they need to be on these fittings.
Oh.
So it's like I said, it's we have an AC machine. You add about 80 milliliters of oil into the system, and then it gives you the new recharge amount. So
yeah, that'll be interesting to see. I'm very excited to see the intake temps when we actually start driving it and using it on a real basis. I'm going to try to run it with no AC on at all, see how much it just moves from sitting there, turn the air conditioning on, and then do the race, I guess call it like the race switch.
It should be noticeable. And one of the reasons we did the tank up here instead of an ice tank in the trunk or anything like that is with this system, obviously capacity is one thing, but having something all the way at the back of the car, you lose efficiency by the time the water gets up and all the way back. Your cool water in your tank will start to warm up on its way up. So we kept everything kind of closed loop. It's away from engine heat. This is going to be nice in here. So hopefully it'll cool this volume of water off.
They like to see about 2 gallons or less, and that one's 1.75, and then the lines are a short run, so that should be about perfect. So yeah, we'll follow up when we get everything back together, and I'll do another driving video with this one and do a sort of a feature video on this one on how it runs, kind of boost numbers, and kind of air intake temps we see with the Interchiller, because I haven't seen any of that around much.
Cool. Stay tuned.